Hunter to be able to heal him, and if you nuke the Tauren Chieftain, you're just wasting your nuke. Because Tauren Chieftain will have a lot more HP, especially by the time he hits level 3. And the thing with that is that Blade Master is more easily nukeable. I believe I mentioned this in my last audio. But basically, a Blade Master is more armor-based as opposed to HP-based, so it becomes a little easier to nuke him. Nice fiend save. This is why you get frost armor, just because it makes it a little more difficult for the Blade Master to do anything about it. Now, if he kept his dust, he could have had that fiend kill with a lucky crit in there, which would have been funny. So one thing you should do when you know the Blade Master's nearby is save your nuke for the giant turtle, or the gargantuan turtle, just so that he doesn't get any of the items. Odd use of an invulnerability pot, I thought. Wow, that rhymed. I think he was just trying to jack the item, which was actually a pretty good item, parry up to vitality. Surprised he hasn't passed the gloves to his ledge yet. I mean, he doesn't have an orb yet, but that'll be pretty important in a bit. Now, he's sort of hovering at about 44 food. He's going to do that until he gets, till he has the ability to get frost worms, I think. Actually, I'm not sure. I should have watched this replay once more before I did this. But whatever. One thing he does do is he actually upgrades the damage output of all of his stuff first, as opposed to the armor. That's because if you go Fiends first, you're going to see a lot less Bat Riders, so armor won't really make too much of a difference. Thought you should know. But, yeah, I think he upgrades damage just so that he can be able to take out things like the Tauren Chieftain a little easier, just because he isn't an armor-based hero. So basically, this is the difference between the Tauren Chieftain and the Blade Master. Blade Master, you can nuke it a little easier just because his HP is more armor-based than the Tauren Chieftain. The Tauren Chieftain is more HP-based than the Blade Master. So basically, you're going to want to focus the Blade Master as opposed to nuke him. Or you want to... Wow, that was stupid. You want to nuke the Blade Master as opposed to focus him, and when it comes to the Tauren Chieftain, you just want to focus him with the Orb of Corruption instead of nuking him, just because you're going to be wasting a lot more mana. One thing you will note is that at this point, the Undead... or the Orc player is actually going to go around trying to find the Undead player. Nice crit. Lol, luck. Anyways, yeah, basically when the Tauren Chieftain hits level 3, they're gonna go running around trying to find your shit, and then they're just gonna focus you. I thought it was odd that he sold both of the Wands of Mana Stealing. I thought he would have kept one for the Tauren Chieftain, but whatever. It's an extra 400 gold. He picks up a Corrupt Lord 3rd, which is pretty smart because you're gonna be facing a little bit more of a ground-based army. Especially when you're going Fiends, you won't be seeing a lot of air. The Orc player does have an X-bow, by the way, which is pretty important for the Orc, I guess. But, yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, Cripple Lord's good just because it kind of counters Stomp with the Impale. What was I going to say about something? It was pretty important. Oh, he is going to continue to creep with his DK. And the reason he didn't do any kind of push at tier 2, or like right when he hit level 3, is that a lot of Orc players will just adapt it and go with Spirit Walkers, so it kind of screws your push. Plus it could screw you pretty badly, because if you lose a couple Fiends pushing with a level 3 DK, then they could push you with Spirit Walkers and Raiders, and then you're screwed. And level 3 DK pushes don't really work that much anymore, from what I've seen and from what I've been told. So, yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind, is you don't want to do that crap. And besides, if you keep creeping up your DK, what you're going to get is you're going to get more items. You're going to get level 4, which means you can actually run your Fiends away from the Blade Master now. Oh, I thought his base was blocked off. That's too bad. Trading TPs is smart as the Orc player, especially if you have an Expo up on them. Yeah, I thought that was blocked off. I guess not. I guess not. it's a little hard on certain maps to block off your base, actually. And he is setting up a boneyard. When you don't see a lot of air, you don't see wind riders, and you see them going Kodo beasts. Basically, if you go frost worms, you're gonna win. Unless they can adapt quick enough, you're just gonna own him pretty bad. One thing you always keep is a TP, though. That's crucial. Yeah. He still hasn't passed the Gloves of Haste to the Lich, which kind of bothers me, but whatever. He is sticking at 50 food. You notice he went into low upkeep for a second. I think it was kind of a bug with the shades. But yeah, he's actually starting to go into low upkeep just so he can get some more Destros. The reason he's doing this is because he's going to make some sort of push here. He is, I believe, down by at least 10 food, yeah. Stop is at about, yeah, he's about 70 food. So this is kind of an odd push to make, but it's pretty good to push when you just morph your Destros. It doubles your damage output, basically, and it screws them pretty bad if you can win. LOL. It always screws them pretty bad if you can win. But, you'll notice his food count's dropping pretty fast. He went into low upkeep pretty soon. And when you go into low upkeep before you enter a battle, it just means you're going to get reinforcements a little quicker. Sure, you're going to lose about maybe 60 gold, but that's not too bad. So, especially because you can get a little more of an army. That was a weird impale. I thought he would have gotten more than just one grunt with that. But basically what you end up doing is you're going to end up sticking it out with heroes, especially if you're focusing a lot more on the raiders and stuff. Oh, nice crit again. That was cool. But yeah, when you're in battles, what you're going to end up focusing first is the Wind Riders, just because their damage output and they go down pretty fast, and then the Raiders second, just so you can actually run away. So that's a good way to order what you're focusing. And he's picking up a Frostworm, and the reason he's picking up a Frostworm is because the Orc player still has a lot of ground-based army and doesn't really have much in terms of air, and he still has to replenish his Wind Riders, or his Raiders. So I guess he's kind of assuming that Stop will be stocking up the Raiders pretty quick. And when you break 50 food without going into a battle, what you're going to actually do is you want to take a look at his army first, and you'll notice he should have a Shade going around somewhere, tracking him down. But generally you want to keep a Shade on you and a Shade on them. And the Shade on you is just to prevent yourself from getting jacked by the Blade Master. But yeah, you keep a Shade on them, and then you notice, okay, he has like 3 Wind Riders, 4, my bad. So he's got more of an air-based army, so you want to stock up a little more on Fiends, as opposed to Destroyers or Frostworms. And if he has more of a ground-based army, you're going to stock up more on Frostworms. So you just want to optimize your army when you're scouting him. Just makes it a little easier to win. More Imber creeping with the Orb and stuff for the Orc player. He's kind of out-leveled, just because there's a DK level 5, and his Tauren Chieftain is level 5, which is a bummer when the Tauren Chieftain hits level 5. This is why you keep a Shade on you. You can actually get a couple more damage on the Blade Master before you enter into a battle. And you'll see this battle is pretty funny. Just he brings his ghouls. That's pretty important just because you can take out the raiders, and he has plenty of wood, and you're not going to be getting the freezing breath upgrade anyways. And one thing he's going